excited too. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me all right? All right, fantastic. All right, that's the title of my thing, Cutting Through the Noise, Harnessing Data to Win Races. I'm a political consultant. My name is Stefan Turkheimer. I work out of Atlanta and Washington, D.C. Atlanta, obviously, the other lesser Georgia, but still pretty good. All right, so one of the things I want to talk to you about today, come on. It's going to happen. That's all right. It's mostly memorized. Doesn't matter. All right. The other way, mostly. Keep going. Hell yeah. This is it. All right. So here's the thing about political races. When you talk about data, if your candidate gets 35% and you manage to increase it over time to 45%, that's still a loss. It's Boolean. You either win or you lose. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. If you get 49.8%, you're still a loser. That's not on. The thing about, can we go back a little bit? Yeah, hell yeah. All right. The thing about political campaigns is everyone talks about how much money is in them, how many millions and billions are spent, and that's true. But the reality is, no matter how much money you have, it's not enough. You have a scarcity problem, which means you have to focus on very few people. The competition for attention. When you're trying to reach a voter, when you're trying to reach a potential voter, you're trying to convince them to your point of view, the reality is they have all kinds of competition for their time. They have the Kardashians, which are a big thing in the United States. They have, regular television. They have all their friends' posts, which are meaningless. They need to listen to ours. It's very difficult to get your political message to the right people. So we have to figure out, so we can use our money appropriately, how many people we actually need and who those people are. All right. There are a lot of people talking about different types of data sets in this room. I'm going to talk to you about three specific political data sets. In the United States, the Secretary of States of the various states and the federal government keep what's called the history of all voting. And so when you're looking at your candidate in your race and you want to get the majority of people in your district, you need to know how that district has voted, not just in races like yours, but in all kinds of different races going back a number of years, so you can effectively predict how they're going to vote in yours. The voter file, which is also available and you can purchase for $500, which sounds ridiculous, has the voting records of every individual person in the state. And so you know every single election which they voted in. And if you come to my workshop tomorrow, we're going to look at the voting records of a number of famous people. It'll be fun. All right. The second thing is the voter file. Is Vote Builder, which takes the voter file and then adds all kinds of demographic information. Beyond race and age, they look at your magazine subscriptions, various things you use to predict how you're going to vote. One of the things that's done in the United States is we do a lot of canvassing, which is where someone will come and knock on your door and ask you to vote for a specific person. And each one of the conversations that person has with you is noted in Vote Builder. So ideally, they know a lot about the voter, what issues they care about, what motivates them, how they voted in past elections. So the thing you have to do, the reason you get all this information is you need to find out your win number. How many people it needs to win. How many people you need to vote for you in order to win. Do you have any guesses? Anyone? More than the other guy? It's a good guess. Another suggestion up there? Still nothing? Okay. We can take a second if you want. All right. So congressional districts in the United States. Everybody familiar with Congress? 435 people, most of whom don't do anything. Good job. There are 750,000 people in each congressional district. But if we try and message to 750,000 people, we're going to run out of money. Our message is never going to get through. So the next level down is 600,000 people. Those are the number of people that are over the age of 18 in a congressional district that are not currently incarcerated. Because if you're incarcerated in the United States, you can't vote. But you also have to register to vote. And only 450,000 people generally are registered to vote. So out of the 750,000, the max we're really talking to is 450,000. But how many of those people will actually vote? Any guesses? Any thoughts? No? Tom Hanks is also confused. I hear a lot of things. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. You can look at the past elections to see the percentage of registered voters who are going to vote. And it doesn't actually change that much. Regardless of candidate, the same amount of people generally turn out to vote. In this particular district, which is a congressional district in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, hands? Hands? People know Philadelphia? Doesn't matter. Not an important city. All right. This is the percentage of registered voters who turned out in those districts. You can see it's going up and down. I drew the blue line is just the average. The orange line going up and down. You'll notice that in 2012 and 2016, it was much higher. Presidential elections turn out more people. That's all that is. But you can see the lowest is like 62, and the highest is around 74. So it's not actually a huge range, but that does mean a lot of different people. So the average is 67.25, it turns out. So our best guess based on that is 70%. In the United States right now, people are really excited about politics. They really want to vote. You can have your own guesses as to why. So 70,000 people is 315,000 people, right? So that's how many people are probably going to vote in this election. Half of that's 157,500. So that's our win number. That's how many votes we need to get, okay? So 157,000 people. But guess what? We don't actually need to talk to all of them. And here's why. Most elections in the United States are partisan, or they break down in the same way every single time. If you have a Republican versus a Democrat, you have a northern candidate versus a southern candidate, you have a labor candidate, someone who's like a workers' party type thing, versus a business candidate, they will generally get the same kind of votes. So even if your election is a different one, let's say you're running for district attorney, which is like a legal job, versus labor commissioner, which has to workers, it doesn't actually matter, because the reality is that the worst type of your candidate is going to get the same vote. So what you can do is, you just have to find the guy you can't do worse than. So if you're a Democrat and the worst Democrat, like this guy, gets like 35% of the vote, you know you've got 35% baked in. So the worst Democrat on the ballot in our particular Philly congressional is right around 35. Better in the presidentials, worse in other years. So we're probably going to get 40% of the vote when we start. So a lot of times you'll hear people talk about, well, politicians don't talk to people like me. That's probably because they're already counting on your vote and they don't think they need to win it. Or you're never going to vote for them anyway. So really, we're getting 126,000 votes for free. So what do we need? 21,000. So how are we going to get 21,000? We're going to try not to be the worst type of our candidate, as in we're not going to be the worst Democrat, the worst labor candidate, whatever it is. We're going to do better than that guy by maximizing our base, getting them excited. And then we got to find some bonus voters, and that's how we're going to find 21,000. All right, this is kind of dense, but it's important. This is a list of precincts in Philadelphia. The only two I want you to look at are P2 and P12. And what I've done is I've talked about the persuasion index. That's the difference between the worst performing Democrat and the best performing Democrat. That's the amount of people we think we can get excited in that individual election. P2 has an extremely high minority percentage in its district. That's a lot of African American voters in Philadelphia. So we're going to have to speak to them in order to get it. P12, very low minority percentage, actually has a lot of activated women voters. What we're going to do, hopefully, is we're going to watch a couple ads that show how you target an individual group within your larger message and what you do to emphasize your message within those groups. So that's basically what I just said, it turned out. All right. The old method, GOTV, that's called get out the vote. You go door to door, you have rallies. The precinct itself was the target. That entire group of people, say 10,000 people in a precinct, and you rely on your general message, right? And so what happens is you're like, okay, in this precinct, 65% of the people tend to vote for Democrats. So anybody in this precinct is a good target. You don't worry about the individual. You just go to that area and try and turn out everybody in it, and you ignore the areas where you are not going to do well. That's not how it's done anymore. Now you have to use the psychodemographics of the individual district, the individual voter, and use specific themes. So P12 is the first one we looked at, liberal but not diverse. These are the many colors of Hillary Clinton. So they are going to respond to certain themes. They like Hillary Clinton, they like Bernie Sanders, women's rights, marriage equality. We can target them on Facebook through their political causes. The question is, what are we going to show them? And these people are absolutely the key to a recent race, which was the Nashville election of Megan Barry. So what are we going to show them?
Jim knows that neighborhoods...
That's awesome, but it's not the... You know what? I'll figure it out. We're all good. Be cool for a sec. Okay, this is Megan Barry. There's a couple things I want you to note here. First is how many women are showed in the audience in the close-ups and what she's talking about. You can't quite hear her, so I'm going to tell you. She's talking about equal pay, she's talking about a right to choice, and she's talking about school issues, right? And what you're going to see here is this is a campaign that's specifically being targeted to women without saying you're targeting to women. Because if you're saying you're targeting to women, sometimes men feel left out. We have fragile egos. So Let's see, hold on, let me see if the other one's there. Give me 1 sec, we're being cool.
Jim knows.
All right, we're coming back to it, it's fine. Can you back it up like 4 slides? This is gonna be great, don't you worry. So what you saw there about the Megan Barry ad is she's got certain general themes she's going for, but she's trying to pick out specifics in that district. In another district we're talking about, this is actually the Philadelphia race that we're talking about. This was a race for mayor. It was Jim Kenney against Mike Williams. And in that race, there was an African-American candidate,
knows that.
Williams, against a white candidate, Jim Kenney. But Jim Kenney had to win the African-American vote in order to get it. So here's his general theme. This is his general ad right here.
You know, that early morning smell of burnt wood meant Dad had made it home again. He never took the easy way out of protecting our city, and neither do I. I fought for LGBT rights and tough ethics laws when it wasn't popular or politically easy. When opponents fought me on decriminalizing small amounts of marijuana, I fought to give people a second chance. I want stop and frisk gone.
Okay. So it takes him 4 issues to get to stop and frisk. Did you see that? LGBT rights, ethics laws. Those are general themes. Stop and frisk is number 4, right? You go to his specific ad, which is going to play right now if there's, you know, any kind of a...
Jim knows that neighborhoods
This
matter.
is a specific ad to
P12.
P12.
I know what's in Jim's heart. He sat next to me in city council for 23 years.
Jim definitely understands that in order to be a good leader, you got to be willing to do the hard things.
As mayor, I'm going to end stop and frisk,
End
have
stop and
universal
frisk, number
pre-K,
1.
and we're going to create...
See what he's done there? He switched his issue priority for a specific community. He used validators who are African American, who are in the community, the council district person, in order to specifically target. Because the only way he can win is by massively turning out that base, but also getting all those bonus voters. He was at 24% in the polls before that ad ran, and he ended up with 52%, beating his opponent. And that's the key to all of that. So broad themes in your overall, specific in your smaller, right? And you're going to have to target those people on Facebook and that sort of thing. So that pretty much handles that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, you can ask me over cookies or on Friday in my workshop. That's it, bro.